Yeah, welcome to the podcast, Nate.
Hey, Brad. Welcome.
Welcome. How you doing?
Doing pretty well. How are you?
Yeah, good. So today we have some special guests with us. We've got Dan and Kyle from psadmin.io. Maybe you've heard of them?
Yeah, good guys. They just wrapped up an inaugural convention here just recently, I think. Actually, it was today.
Yeah. Where was that one held?
Oh, University of Minnesota.
Yeah, good guys there. Good crew.
Yeah. I heard.
Yeah. Should be good times having them in.
Yeah. So we'll start out with the first question for you guys.
Okay.
Please introduce yourself, actually.
No. Let's turn it around. Introduce the other guy.
Ooh, introduce the other guy?
The other guy, okay.
All right, well, that's Kyle.
And that's Dan.
That's it? That's all you have.
Is that how this works? No.
That's all you have to say about him. That's Dan.
Well, that's Kyle. Kyle works for Hennepin County. Has been a PeopleSoft admin, developer. He spent a short time as a functional analyst. We'll forgive that. We'll forgive it. He came back. We've known each other, Kyle, 5 years roughly?
Coming up in 5 years, I think so.
Yeah. Never. Well, we technically worked together for like 2 weeks.
I think it was 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah. And then I left.
And you were out of there.
Yeah.
Is ugly separation?
No, it was when I was a functional analyst, so Dan wasn't talking to me then. But yeah, this is Dan Iverson. He's an independent contractor for PeopleSoft administration. I think he was a developer in his past.
Yep.
For a long time now, plenty of clients.
Yes.
Mostly local to Minnesota at this point, I think. Yeah, Dan came to me one day, one fateful day, and said, "Hey, I want to do a podcast. Do you want to do one too?" And I said, "Sure." I didn't think it would come to this, but this is where we are. So, yeah, really excited to be doing this with Dan still. To this point, we've had a lot of fun with this, and I hope we keep going. So
that podcast was the foundation for psadmin.io.
Well, I'll let Dan step in a little bit because there's a little bit of pre-work to the podcast and this psadmin.io. But
I had tried blogging on and off for probably 5 or 6 years. And I finally was like, about 2.5 years ago, I was like, I need to do this. I'm going to register a domain. So that's when I bought the domain name. But I really didn't do much until the podcast on there. So the podcast kind of made the site.
Okay.
I'll put it that way.
Okay. So site came first.
Kind of, yeah.
And then podcast.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Nate?
So what was your biggest positive outcome in doing this process of building the psadmin.io?
I guess
your learning experiences too.
Yeah, so the positive outcome, and I think Dan would echo this, is all you guys in the audience here listening to this. The networking has been outstanding. Learning from you guys as much as we try to share with you, I think it's a two-way street. I kind of hoped it would be, and I couldn't have imagined as much as it turned out to be. Learning a lot and just asking questions and getting responses, actual responses. People are listening to this. Learning that has been really great. So that for me, that's the biggest thing is the networking and the learning together, collaborative type of experience. That's what I've definitely got out of this.
Yeah, I would say we started the podcast and it was kind of fun to watch the numbers because like the first couple of weeks it's like, ooh, 15 people downloaded it. Sweet. Right? And then it was like 100 people and then it was 200 people. It's like, oh, this is kind of picking up speed. And it's kind of like over time just slowly grown and grown. I think we get, is it like close to 3,000 downloads a month now?
I think so. Yeah.
Which is really cool that many people would find what we have to say even remotely interesting.
Right.
But it's been the people that we've met, like kind of like Kyle said, from this that has been really, really cool. Finding you guys are down the street from where we work, but yet we had never met you guys.
Right.
So it took a podcast and a site to find you.
And actually meeting in Seattle instead of
Las Vegas.
Vegas.
Yeah, we had to meet you in Vegas.
Memory's shaky from that weekend.
Sorry, there was Vegas. Yeah, just Vegas.
I mean, those connections were pretty cool, but it's like, and I was telling Kyle this, a while ago, that as an admin, you might have a small team you're working with, or you might be the only admin. you might know a lot of developers, but you don't know other admins. And so like starting this and like meeting and having right now a whole room full of just admins to talk has been so cool, because that network of people who have the same problems as you is now huge. You're not like by yourself trying to figure this out, which is really, really cool. And when we started the Slack channel too, it's like, well, maybe if we get 10 people to sign up, we might keep it around for a little while. And I think there's almost 350 people now on that. It's like people want to talk about this stuff, which has been probably the coolest thing for me. Is it's like, it's not just little side project of me being geeky. It's like other people that want to do this too.
Yeah, so what kind of a demographic do you guys have? Is it just, is it Midwest? Kind of explain where all these PS admins come from.
I mean, it's where do they come from? Yeah, they crawl out from below the rocks.
Question.
No, it's really all over. I mean, there's some people out in the UK, Australia, which I always thought was interesting. Like, how does the time work of you guys being on the Slack channel and communicating with us? But across the US, Canada,
way up in Yukon, Canada.
Yes, somebody was like Arctic Circle-esque Canada. So it's been cool to see that communication. Like I said, we're kind of saying this over and over, but it's not only like the community around your local user groups that you might see in the Midwest for us, but it's across the world.
So is it fair to say psadmin.io has gone global?
Has gone global.
Technically, yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
all right, congratulations, guys.
Thanks.
Well, I'll even add, I think it's been unique to be able to talk to familiar names that you've seen out there for years. They've been out there, they've written books, and all of a sudden they're in the chat room sitting there and responding to your questions. Like, it's pretty cool. It's unique in that scenario.
Yeah, I will say when Jim Marion signed up, I was doing a little happy dance.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
That was a fun day. Yes.
Cool. Oh, yeah. This is kind of a funny one. How did you ever find time to do all these podcasts constantly and maintain this site?
Our wives are awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's start there.
The family giving us the slack to do that has been awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, we kind of got a schedule worked out.
Yeah. Usually it's Wednesday nights.
Mm-hmm. And when we can, we try to maybe record more than one a night. Doesn't happen too often, but we just kind of got into a rhythm. I guess the time was once we carved out the schedule. My next big concern was what we were going to talk about, but it hasn't really dried up for us.
No, not yet.
Not at all. So
it seems like you guys get a lot of different views and different just personalities on those podcasts too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the guests have been really, really cool. I mean, you guys were on there. A number of folks in the room have been on the podcast in one way or another, and being able to tie into like David Kurtz, Graham, calling in from England to be on the podcast has been pretty cool too. It's kind of like Kyle said. I was probably around like podcast 30. It's like, oh man, are we going to start running out of ideas? And it hasn't yet. It seems like either things change in the industry, there's something new to work on. We keep a lot of notes throughout the week of what we're working on, and it always seems to be something new, be something different, which has so far been enough to keep us going.
There's been a lot of that gray stuff to fill in, the learn.
Yes, a lot of gray stuff.
So what's been that biggest eye-opener since we're talking about the gray stuff?
How buggy things are when they first come out.
That's not an eye-opener.
Yeah. No, that shouldn't be an eye-opener, no.
To some extent it is, though. I mean, there's always that in the back of my mind, like, am I just deploying this wrong? There's no way that this could just be broken.
Right.
I don't know that I should that.
This, right? It should be fine.
Can't be my fault.
Yeah, but having talking to Dan and then through the Slack community just bouncing, like, am I the only one this is happening to? And everyone's like, no, same here. So, I don't know. It's, again, it kind of always goes back to the communication with other admins is really eye-opening. Yeah.
One of the things that was most eye-opening for me is anytime I felt like I was getting ahead in an area, like, all right, I've started to figure this out. I think I'm, doing well with it. And then someone else comes in and you're just like, nope, I am nowhere near understanding any of this. I think I'm getting ahead and I'm not, because someone else is way further ahead on this path. Which is good. For me, it's motivating. But then you also have people that come in and it's like there is this whole span of where we're at, and we all want to get to the same place. And so kind of helping us all get together and get on the same path has been kind of fun too.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's kind of that whole goal of psadmin.io is help each other out, share what we know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. That's why we started it.
Cool. Well, I got a question. I know you've asked everybody else about your embarrassing moments out there. Do you guys have any good embarrassing moments you want to? Or sort of embarrassing moments, maybe?
So this is
and you can say one about the other person.
Thankfully, we haven't worked with each other, so...
Well, 2 weeks we did.
Well, for those 2 weeks. Oh, yeah.
So my embarrassing moment was I was a functional analyst. No. So this was the oh no story segment, basically, we tend to do, right?
Yeah.
I need a minute to think about that one.
I've shared 2.
I know you have.
So I feel like I'm in the clear here.
I know you are. So I've got one. I will share. It's kind of related to me, kind of not my fault, but it's my fault. I was we recently had implemented a fire change request implementation, right? So as we're moving projects from environment to environment, we're doing it through this new fire product. Well, so what I did is I was moving a change to a project, and I had included the vendor line record in a project. I don't think I was even actually changing it, but I just had it in the project because I, for whatever reason, had it in there. And I don't know if you can see where this is going, but as I moved it through, I didn't really verify the build settings, and when I went to production, it did a drop recreate. So,
oh no!
So we lost the vendor line table.
I'm sure your DBA was happy.
Surprisingly, he wasn't happy, but he didn't kill me, so that was good. He was pretty calm about it, and we restored it pretty quickly. There was maybe 6 or 7 transactions that were kind of hairy that we didn't really know what was going on. I recovered that through the distrib line and kind of finagled it to a point where we could cancel the voucher and recreate it. But anyways, it was something with the way the default build settings were set up in Fire. I needed to maybe double check those before I just pushed it into production. So that was my, I guess that'll be my story.
I think that's probably happened to most of us in some timeline of history if you've been a developer.
Hopefully it wasn't the voucher line table, because that was pretty drastic.
Yeah, that was...
Okay, Wayne says yes. Okay. But yeah, that's another thing with that segment, is we kind of wanted to have a safe space where we could all talk maybe and say, things happen, right? Let's just try to, not shame each other and how could you let that happen? Let's say, oh yeah, maybe I can learn something from your mistake and kind of be a little more careful next time I'm migrating a table into production.
Yeah, because we all make mistakes. Some of them are bigger than others. But yeah, I mean, we're all human. We do that, and it's not making it okay, but it's it'll happen. Learn, like you said, learn from it.
Right.
And maybe sharing my story will trigger something that you're doing that catches it before you actually make the same mistake.
Right. We'll remind the developers to check build settings now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
No.
All right. Now we're gonna have a little fun with you.
Okay.
And we'll probably have more fun with you later.
Begins?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, let's see. What's your biggest pet peeve about the other's approach to PeopleSoft administration?
Ooh,
yeah,
that kind of fun.
Yeah.
I'll start.
We're going to dig up some dirt here,
There
guys.
was no hesitation. Kyle.
Dan's using of Windows. No. I know it's not Dan's choice what OS his client uses, but he's been kind of the Windows guy, and I've been the Linux guy, which sometimes when I want another Linux admin's perspective and I'm talking to Dan, it'd be nice to have him know or use a little more Linux. But
have a little more empathy.
Yeah, a little empathy maybe. But it's nice that we haven't worked too much together and we have differing views of things. And I kind of like that he's the Windows guy, because some stuff I might be trying to talk about, I wouldn't see it from that side of the aisle, I guess, the Windows side. So that'd be the one thing I'd jump to first.
All right, sure. All right. Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah, so my pet peeve would probably be if I'm explaining something to Kyle and I'm having a I'm trying to like explain it, but also trying to figure it out myself. He generally figures it out before I do. or if I'm like, hey, I have this great solution and we're talking through it, there's usually things he points out that are wrong that I didn't think about that I then have to go, oh yeah, good point. Crap. So yeah, it's
so he's kind of like that sanity check over your shoulder.
Oh, very much, yeah, but it's kind of annoying.
All right, so that was part A to the question.
Okay.
All right, you ready for part B?
No.
Okay, this is easier. What's the biggest thing you've learned from the other guy?
Oh man,
You go first this time.
okay. Oh man, yeah. It would kind of tie in with that I don't pick things up as quickly. Yeah, because like, I mean, we're both admins. We've kind of had some development experience. But you jump into something that's new, and it seems like, again, you pick things up a little quicker, which is cool because when, if we're going through a new project, he's doing 855 stuff, he'll pick up on things that I hadn't done, or his range of expertise is bigger because of that too, right? Even though he kind of disavows his functional time, he can sit down as with functional people and actually go through those issues and figure it out. And it's that whole stack of functional all the way down to the database.
Okay,
which is really cool. It's kind of annoying that he can do that as well, but it's really cool because it's that whole breadth and kind of what Wayne was talking about. It's all those gray areas that he seems to pick up on pretty quickly.
He's kind of like the Christopher Columbus of the PeopleSoft world. He just kind of looks for those new things, goes exploring, and
Yes.
I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. All right. So what have I learned from Dan?
yeah.
Well, I think related to all this that Dan's kind of initiated, because Dan was the initiator of this, is kind of don't be afraid to put yourself out there. He's done a lot with his blog posts, his videos, his courses, and shown that he knows a lot. He wants to share a lot, but as he's already mentioned, like no one in this room, no one in this industry knows everything. So have those conversations, share what you know, and you're going to get learning back at you, right? You're going to learn stuff. So don't be afraid to have conversations with people, because I will say I was a little hesitant to jump on this podcast. I was doing some blogging before, pretty minimal, but jumping in with Dan on this we'll just call it this project here that we're doing, it's been really eye-opening to me to just not be afraid and share and talk and network and ask questions, because everyone wants to learn. Everyone has something to share.
Thanks. I will say, though, it's not without nerves and concerns. I mean,
well, you don't show it. I don't.
Okay.
You really don't. Even on talking with us, you don't. So you're diving into this stuff.
Because like even last night, thinking about this conference, it was like, okay, at this point, I can't change anything. So, but it's cool, and I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, it's like people that start businesses. I'm sure Larry could talk to you too with everything that they've done with Gray Heller. It's like, it's cool to put yourself out there, but man, there are nights that I am incredibly nervous about what we're doing too, even though we've been doing this for 2 years.
Well, to make you feel any better, I think today was a great success.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
It was great to have everybody in a room, hear different stories, different perspectives. Good job.
Well, thanks.
Speaking of completing this first conference, got any plans and ideas for the second annual conference?
Yeah, we got a few going through.
Oh.
Haven't really thought about that yet. We want to get through to today. But what's the most exciting thing is most people we talk to say, well, next year when you do this.
Yeah, there's a lot of when, not if.
Yeah.
So we appreciate that. It seems like people are excited to keep this going. I know we are. So hopefully we can get something planned for next year and beyond.
Yeah.
So in addition to the conference and what you're looking forward to with that, how about just psadmin.io in 2 years, 5 years?
I think one of the things that we kind of want to turn it into is more of a place for learning. I mean, it's already, I hope, that place for a lot of people. We've got a lot of ideas for some more free courses. We want to do more paid courses just because it would let us focus more time on some deeper topics. Hopefully then, in turn, people would get more value out of a course like that. So that's, and I think probably the longer term where we'd like to take it.
Okay.
Don't know if it'd ever be a full-time job, but part-time would be pretty awesome.
Uh-huh. And it seems like it's pretty much part-time already.
It can be some days, yes. Yeah, I don't know if you have any other ideas with it.
No, the courses thing is we've obviously talked a lot about this. Is something I think we both are excited about trying to do more of in the future, and expanding this conference.
Yep.
And the site is kind of, I'd like to start blogging more. I know Dan's has quite the pace lately, but I think just in general, just kind of keep growing. It's been growing pretty steadily, at least on the Slack community and whatnot. So just kind of keep it going in general is kind of our goal. Yeah.
I just have a tough time keeping up with the community in the Slack. I mean, I come back on there after 2 days, and there's 100 of them. Shoot, I got to keep up with that. Good info on there.
Yeah,
so,
and it's kind of fun when you get like 2 or 3 people that like hit a topic and they just go off. I think Tim Slater and Andy Dorfman were going off a couple weeks ago about some security stuff, and it's just like, okay, let's just sit back and watch.
Can we Splunk it and just like pull out what we want?
Sure. Yeah,
that would work. That would work.
Give you an API key.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess we were talking about where you want to go. How about like artifactories and some source code and some sharing of pre-developed tools? I don't know, like these IP monitors that are out there and other things like that.
We're kind of all in on that. So Eric Bollinger from University of Colorado is doing a bunch with DPK stuff. So we're working with him on getting psadmin.io modules out for the DPK. So he's doing a lot of code writing for that. I'm kind of helping him out with some Windows side stuff. So filling in the gaps where the DPK is missing. That's a lot out there. Kyle's written some projects. We've talked about as the ACM adoption picks up, there's going to be a lot of need for custom plugins. Mm-hmm. We want to have some of that out there. So we have a GitHub page. If people have repositories they want to send up, we'll host them. Mm-hmm. We are working on a wiki for the site. Because like we blog and some other people have had some guest blogs on there, but we wanted a page as well where people can put like just a little tip they found or one little document they want to post up there to make it more of a community thing as well. So that's coming.
Okay.
I will say we have an idea out on the idea space for the tools team to make a more friendly output format from App Designer. Say Git friendly format, because then it would make, as Kyle talked about in his Blitz talk, sharing code a lot easier if it wasn't just a single XML file. If it was something that was text-based, we could share code a lot easier through Git and GitHub.
You're looking at YAML.
Well, YAML might be part of it, yes. But yes, I mean, that's kind of where a lot of this is going too, is those skills, as Wayne talked about as well, is like those are good skills to have because they translate beyond PeopleSoft. And so if we can learn those skills while doing PeopleSoft, then whatever comes 10, 15 years down the road, we have those skills. And so if we can encourage that now, get people on it, use it now you've got those in the bag for later on.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything else, Nate?
I don't know. Do we want to open this up to other open questions too?
Yeah, we can do that.
You guys got other questions you're curious about asking? Audience?
Spontaneous questioning.
Yeah, now we're putting you on the spot.
Josh is asking about starting a developer group. We've talked about it. We haven't done it yet. Partly we're not developers, but we'd be open to hosting it and letting someone else manage it.
We have several that I'm sure would want to jump in.
Yeah.
Really? Is psappdev.io open?
Check tonight. Give me a few minutes after this podcast.
Don't post this and make sure nobody else steals it from you.
Right.
We know everybody in the room right now, so if it's gone when Dan leaves the room, we'll have a finite group to look at.
Yeah, Charlie, you got a question.
When you guys record these podcasts, have you ever had any just major fails
in
the recording of an episode?
Okay, so Charlie's asking if we've had any major failures while recording. Yes. That was not a fun night. What was it? We were using, I think, my laptop to record. Mm-hmm. And I realized, so we record down in generally my basement. Right now we're in Kyle's basement because we're finishing ours, which is nice. But we'll have a better space to record that's not this giant concrete box. But we were recording, and I got, maybe 30 minutes in, and I kind of looked down, and we use Adobe Audition to record, and I'm looking at the wave signs, and they look very similar on both tracks. And I kind of stopped, and I looked. There was a few explicits that came out, and I realized that both Kyle's track and my track were recording my mic. But that episode happened to be like we were talking about something. I forget what it was. I actually had a demo up. We discovered something live while we were recording it.
Yeah.
It was like this cool moment that had only my audio. And I was like, well, maybe I can salvage it because, like I said, it's a concrete box in our basement at the time, and you can hear the other person through the sound refractions. It didn't work. It was just like, oh, no.
You just can't get those moments back.
No, you can't. We tried to recreate it, and I forget what episode it was, but...
Not real good acting skills.
No.
Wait, what does it say? Oh my gosh. This is incredible.
We've had a couple of close calls, though, where like audition froze and it looked like we lost 20 minutes, but the audio was there.
Yeah.
The UI froze.
Yeah, we had a little hiccup on mine.
Did we?
The
Yeah, I think
that
we
was
had to
the one.
reboot the machine.
That was the one.
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah, mine too.
Was it?
What is it with the
You guys are bad luck.
All right, is this one? Has anyone verified that this is still capturing?
No, we're good. We're
Looks
good. We're good. Yep.
Yeah, so luckily that hasn't happened too often because, like you said, it does take some time to do this. So we don't want any snafus to lose a couple hours worth of work. That would kind of
Yeah.
be bad.
And that's why you'll notice here I have the camera back there that actually has 2 mics on it. We had the Zoom over there, and we were using the laptop to record the audio. 'Cause worst case, I can use the audio for this.
Fail over load balancing.
Yep. Wayne.
So I noticed there was someone from Oracle here today. How much more involved is Oracle with you guys than when you started?
Okay, so Wayne's asking how much more involved Oracle was or is with us since we've started this. A little bit, but probably not as much as you think. We have gotten some emails from people on the tools team. I know when event mapping came out, we got a meeting with some folks over in India to actually talk through it, and they kind of showed us a number of things. We got to ask some questions, which was really cool.
They're like, you found it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Because it was like not documented, or we found I forget who was it, Chris Malick maybe mentioned it.
Yeah.
And we had a podcast, and then the next week they're like, yeah, we'd like to talk through some of this because they were still kind of building it before they kind of really started talking about it. So that was kind of cool. We had like a little
so that was
WebEx
fun.
with them.
And when we get to Oracle, some of the bigger conferences, some of the Oracle folks will talk to us. But yeah, that's kind of been about it. Every now and then I'll get a ping from some of the Oracle strategy folks just with a quick question. But it's not like we chat with them every week now. But I do know that people in Oracle will download the podcast and upload it to an internal site because they can't get to it remotely. Because there are people internally that listen to it. We don't hear much back from them. There are a few people from Oracle on the community, the Slack channel as well, and they've just sent me a note saying, "Hey, I'm just here just to kind of watch," and that's about it. So that's kind of neat that they want to be at least listening to what we're talking about. Kind of feels like, even though we complain about things and feel like no one's there, someone's at least trying to listen. Whether or not that translates into my SR getting resolved is a different story.
I hope they have a thick shell.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you had to ban anyone from the Slack channel yet?
No, we had one person that we just talked to.
Okay.
It was kind of early on in the channel.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's been an awesome experience. Everyone
Totally.
seems to kind of get along well.
So nobody's causing havoc in your world.
No, not at all.
No.
Good.
How many are in the community? Tommy's asking how many in the community. 348 today after Donna joined. Which is awesome. And I'd probably say 100 people are on there, on an average day.
Logged in. Yeah.
Logged in. I think some people, kind of like Nate, you'll log in every couple of days and check things out, read through it. And we've met people at conferences that say, I'm on there every day. I don't
Lurker.
talk. Yeah.
I'm a lurker.
We'll just hang out and watch.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So, Dan, for people listening, what's the easiest way to get into the Slack community?
Okay, so Charlie's asking about the easiest way to get into the community. Simplest way is if you go to the site, psadmin.io/community, just send your email to us through there, and then you'll get an invite from Slack.
Yeah.
So there's a little box on that page below the video that'll send an email to us.
Yep. I'd like to join. Put in your email address. Boom.
Yep. And we do that manually. We haven't automated that yet. So sometimes if I have my email open, it's right away. Sometimes it's a few hours. Yeah, we haven't added YAML to that yet.
What? No YAML? Okay.
Fun question.
Okay.
When the documentary of your success is filmed, who's going to play you guys?
Oh gosh. Oh wow. I don't know. I really don't.
I don't know, Tobey Maguire for me? No, I'll go with Leonardo DiCaprio. That's probably a better fit.
Jake Gyllenhaal. Does that work?
Yeah.
Does that
There we
work?
go. There we go.
Oh, I'll take it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Good answer.
Okay.
All right.
Fun questions, guys. I like these.
I like it.
Anymore?
They'll get better.
Oh, they're better. Oh, wow.
Oh, man. All right.
While we're looking at other ones, favorite university within the Minnesota state boundaries?
That's good
Hint,
because that's good because I didn't go to school in Minnesota.
I went to Metro State University, so
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
But I didn't get a scholarship from another major university. It would have been nice if that
Really?
would have happened, but I don't know.
I'll go with the Golden Gophers.
Yeah, that works.
Oh, okay.
We have Capella here, too. So.
Yeah,
we
Pella's
do,
here as
yeah.
well.
We do.
Oh wow!
Josh says he's a U of M grad, even though he works for Capella.
Undercover agent over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not undercover. He's
Oh.
he's very open about it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like U of M.
Okay.
That's Minnesota for those from Michigan.
U of
Yes,
M.
yes.
Right.
All right, so now another fun one. What did you fear we would ask you that we haven't yet?
My sysadmin password.
Which is?
None of your beeswax 001.
When's the last time you applied a CPU patch? And how long did it take?
Is the answer never and
Close. No, okay. No comment. No.
all right? We can
Not as
maybe
fast as you. That's the answer.
we can help you out with
All
that.
right. I've learned a lot, so we'll be taking some advice from you guys for sure.
All right, Nate, you got anything?
Oh, we got one other one here.
All right.
Tough one now. This is going to be really hard. I don't know if you're going to be able to do this. Antlers or prehensile tail?
Which would you prefer?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
I'm assuming this is a hunting question.
Anything could have a prehensile tail.
You're in Minnesota here.
Come on,
It's a good thing I haven't even shot a pheasant.
I don't even know how to repeat what you just said.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with antlers on this one.
Okay. Antlers would be fun to have. Hey, look at my antlers. Prehensile tail. You can hang from trees.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's true.
See?
Oh, that's-
Nice.
There's your answer.
Yeah, Mark
The
said
tail.
hold your beer.
All right.
Yeah. Or hold your third beer.
Hold your
yes.
six-pack on their antlers.
There you go. It'd make that beer cap even bigger with the rack.
nice.
You could have cup holders on it.
Now we're getting somewhere. Okay.
All right. If you could only have one of these for the rest of your life to use in your toolkit, Python or YAML?
I'm going to go with Python on that
You
one.
go Python.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
Python.
Python.
Python. Okay. So you'd go back to using like XML or JSON? I see. See, we're digging deep here, Dan.
Yeah, I'd still stick with Python.
Okay. All right.
And yeah, Python for me too, I guess.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll write a superset to JSON that's
Yeah.
space delimited.
There you go.
All right. Last question for you.
Okay.
At least from me. Nate may come up with more.
I'm thinking.
What was the question you hoped we would ask you guys, but we have not?
My sysadmin password.
It works on so many levels.
It does.
I don't know.
No, there's nothing that
Here's
you
a
were like,
question I
man,
thought
we'd
I was
really
hoping
like to
you
get
meant,
this
what
out."
was my first programming language?
First programming.
Oh, yeah, that's
Was
a good
Turbo
one.
Pascal.
Mine too.
Was it really?
It was,
Oh,
yeah.
cool. Nice. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. I will say my favorite course in college, though, was COBOL. No Fortran. Nope.
Assembly.
No, I was
some
a
assembly
CIS major, so we had some business. I had accounting instead of assembly. Yeah. No, the first programming language. That's a good one.
Yeah, I was in high school, actually, and I finished the class in a week. So then the teacher said, you can do whatever you want. So I was making like video games and slot machines, like weird video games the whole time, and it was awesome.
So what I'm hearing is if you weren't in psadmin.io, you'd be, writing your own video games and
yeah.
You'd be rich instead of where you are.
Yeah, you'd be rich.
Rich making video games.
Yeah, we made a choose your own adventure on the VAX where we wrote our Turbo Pascal.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you guys aren't coming up with like a Tomb Raider themed PSAdmin game?
No,
but
that's not in the works.
Not a bad idea though.
That's called the DPK.
Yeah, really.
All right,
Cool. Well, since we're talking about PeopleSoft, how about People Tools? What's your favorite feature of People Tools right now?
Favorite feature? Wow. In tools itself, I mean, what's the term of tools? Because it's pretty broad now.
Anything within the product realm that it provides.
It's like kind of the easy answer is the DPK stuff. I'm really liking.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work up front, but I can see on the horizon. Maybe it's misguided judgment, but if I can get this set up and working, I'll have time to work on other things, right?
That reminds me of the XKCD comic where he shows my estimated plan of when I automate everything. There's like all this initial work and then it drops off. I'll have all this free time. And then what the reality is the line just continues straight as far as maintaining all the automation.
Right. Exactly. So
or adding more features to it.
Exactly.
Dealing with other products, of course, yeah.
Right.
And part of me realizes that's probably the reality, but coming as a ex-developer, kind of the infrastructure as code scripting stuff, I'm totally on board with, and I could do that all day, really. So whether it might be tedious to some people or not of interest to me, it's kind of bridging both worlds as a developer, scripter / admin infrastructure guy. That's what I like doing. So the fact that People's Tools is bringing some of that to the picture here, I'm all about that right now.
It feels like a cop-out, but I'd say the same thing.
Yeah.
It's such a cool technology, and the tools team has done just enough work to make like the PeopleSoft pieces work well. Well-ish, if you like a sledgehammer. But then the ability for us to do all the things on top of it is just so cool. And I'm kind of with you. Like, I'm not as much of a developer, but I like writing Puppet code. It's a fun language to write in, and it's so powerful. And it's really fun to make this, huge complex system just like stand up on its own with just a few commands.
And I do like, and this kind of goes back to Wayne's discussion earlier today about thinking maybe not past PeopleSoft, but starting to build that bridge off of PeopleSoft Island a little bit, right? So I feel like that kind of opening us up to that skill set of maybe scripting more, automation, looking at these Puppet tools or Python scripting, and then even into like the Elastic stuff. The different tools that are kind of helping us manage PeopleSoft. We can use those same tool sets, those same skills in the future to maybe manage other things that are not PeopleSoft. And for those people that aren't strictly PS admins, like, you can maybe learn this skill set for PeopleSoft now, and then maybe it's not years from now, maybe it's tomorrow. You can use it to support your other applications that you might be supporting with these Puppet and automation. So.
Well, and those tools like Rundeck, where you can start and stop a PS app server, but you know what? Hey, you could start and stop AutoSys. You could do anything with it. It's not a PeopleSoft centric tool, but it works well with PeopleSoft.
Right.
Yep.
It seems like it's becoming more critical for this, for DPK automation, because the wave of constant CPU updates, improvements, for the department to be able to keep up with this. If you're not doing some level of automation, you're constantly buried behind. And it's kind of concerning state where you kind of get this realization, we got to do something to keep on top of this wave, or else we're going to be buried under it.
Right. Yeah, and it's a value add thing too, right? I mean, anyone can click next on an installer and follow through a Word document, right? Or I should say most people can. But it's like, that's well and good, but that's not necessarily a value add to an organization, right? Mm-hmm. The value add is troubleshooting issues. It's helping get patches in quicker to address security issues or new functionality that people want. And I feel like these tools give us that ability. And yeah, it takes a while to get on that train and get it up there, which is a fun process. But then once it's there, now you can do things like Brad, you were talking about, where, all right, security patches, let's reduce that window that we're, unpatched to as small as we possibly can, because that's good for everyone.
Right. Bringing that mindset of innovation for the betterment of the institution, not just for PeopleSoft, but what can you do for all of the tools that you've got?
Right. Because, the Equifax thing is pretty relevant right now. That, might have been a department in IT, but it affects the entire organization, right? And so if you can get the value add on the security side, if you can get the value add on the patching side, on the new features, and making sure that you're at the front of all that change and pushing that, I think that's a fantastic place to be, and probably where we should all try to be.
So as you're looking ahead, how do you think maybe your approach towards these automation tools and that mindset of being on the front is going to change with not only people tools as they evolve, but the enterprise applications as a whole, whether it's PeopleSoft or cloud-based or other packages, not to exclude them?
To use the term DevOps, just that, that mindset is kind of what we're talking about, I feel. And just kind of taking a step back and maybe revisiting what your values are and how you approach these problems in that mindset is really going to be necessity, really. So I think I was already kind of trying to drive some change within my organization a little bit to kind of go down this route, or at least start thinking about it. But now with PeopleSoft kind of pushing it as well, I mean, first it was the flux of adoption. It's like this continuous release stuff. And then now with their push to the cloud, they're making it easy to do this stuff. Just kind of, taking the time to do it right and plan for repeatable actions. Like your process of your CPU patching, I like the thought of, this is what we do, this is the norm. We do it frequently enough, and we've got it automated enough and kind of spelled out, here's the recipe to make this happen and make it a success. If you have that laid out, put the time and effort into it, and do it repeatable and iterations that are quick enough where you can not forget what you did last time, you're going to be more successful. So that whole thing of like, I'm going to wait 2 or 3 years to really, patch or upgrade, you're kind of reinventing the wheel every 2 or 3 years, where if you get an iterative cycle down, you can really fine tune that process with each iteration, and you don't lose all that knowledge between the iterations, which are so fast. So it's more than just the tools; it's just that mindset, and I think, that kind of being forced on us by Oracle with PeopleSoft is really going to be a good thing across the board.
Investing heavily up front to make it easier going forward.
I think, and to Nate's point, I think it's a necessity to some extent, where you're going to have to look at things differently and realize if you don't, you're going to just drown, and you're not going to be able to keep up with the change and with the security updates and all this other stuff. You're going to leave yourself in a really bad spot.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so now we'll turn it around to you guys.
Okay.
So, as we kind of wrap up the day, what do you take away from today? What would you like to just say to the PS admins who've been contributing to your community?
Sure. Well, first off, thank you. Thank you for being part of this. So all of you sitting here, thank you for showing up today, especially those of you that traveled in from outside of the state. That was awesome. We had a soft goal of one person coming from outside Minneapolis, and I think we had 3 or 4. So, yeah, one of them had to catch a flight already, which is cool that they came in for the day. But that's the biggest thing is, I mean, we have the podcast and we write on the site, but that's it. I mean, what's made the community is the people that show up here, the people around the community that contribute, all the guests on the podcast that have helped contribute. That's that's just been awesome. It's been pretty cool to see everyone come together and kind of be willing to share their knowledge. The other thing that I would say, and I think this is getting better, and I think everyone who's on the community probably feels this way, is that keeping knowledge or like feeling like I can't share this because my job depends on it is a terrible place to be because at some point you're going to be moved out because you don't share. So that's kind of what we've tried to encourage. And I think this is kind of a self-selecting group in that sense because the people that want to share the information are probably here or on the community as well. But that's kind of what we've driven for the whole thing. And kind of our guiding rule for the site and pretty much every little decision that we've made is, would I like this? That's why there's no ads on the site at all. That's why when we decided to do this conference, we only emailed Gray Heller and said, hey, we're going to do this. Would you be interested? And Greg was really excited, which was awesome. I don't think we would have probably reached out to anyone else at this point. Just because, I mean, we've talked about it on the podcast and you heard it here. It's such a great product. And we know some of the people there and they're fantastic to work with. Because if I would go to a conference, I don't want to sit and listen to a whole bunch of sales stuff. I want to actually hear real content.
No ads on the site, no ads during our conference.
Exactly, because that's what I want to. I want to come and learn.
Yeah.
And so that's been the driving thing. You know, I mean, case in point, even Greg's Blitz talk, we said, hey, you're paying for the conference. You get an hour slot. And it was like, nope, we're going to let customers talk for us. And even in the 10-minute one, it was kind of fun because he got into the details of how Gray Heller, the ERP firewall works, which is like, this is for us, the geeks, the sales part, right? Mm-hmm. We actually get to see like what it's doing and how that fits for us. But that's really been the driving thing is it's like, all right, what would I like to see in a site? What would I like to hear in a podcast? What would I like to have in a group of people that I can chat about? And if I wouldn't like that or Kyle wouldn't like that, we don't do it. It's as simple as that. So that's really kind of how we run the site and make our decisions. So,
yeah, I think I'll just add to that. The Slack channel has been great for people jumping in and sharing knowledge. As we do more of scripting and automation and tools, I'd like to extend a welcome to people to get on our GitHub page. I know it's been starting to grow. Brad's done a great job on his IB monitoring tool. He's sharing that. Share your tools, guys. If we can help you share it, we'd love to do that. If you want to discuss certain topics, reach out to us on Twitter, email. There's a million ways to get at us. We want to have this discussion and have these tools that we can help share what people need or want to hear. That's what we want to talk about. That's what we want to share. So don't be afraid to reach out to us to get some ideas out there or questions out there or share some tools that you might use or if you have a need for a tool, we can put out the bat signal and see if anyone's got something in the works because most likely somebody has the same problem you have, and we'd all want to, have a solution for it. So
absolutely,
So some people have started doing that, feeling comfortable doing that, and I just would say, jump in. The water's fine. We want to.
We don't bite.
Yeah, feel free to reach out if you can.
Absolutely.
I would echo that. I think you guys are doing a great job.
I would say the same thing. I think what's unique about the podcast and the community was the timing of this from about 2 years ago, year and a half ago.
Yep.
Just when 855 came out, a lot of things changed. You talked about DPK. I remember that was the big news when it came out, and you guys were really doing a lot of training and knowledge of that stuff. The timing was actually what kind of, I think, drew a lot of people here. It was when things looked like they were getting overbearing, we had a source, a community to be able to go to see and deal with those huge changes coming up. So, been invaluable. So, for sure.
Cool.
Awesome. So, 100 podcasts.
100.
100.
So far.
That's a pretty big milestone. So, what's number 200?
Vegas. No, we'll keep doing this as long as it's fun for us and as long as people enjoy it.
So, as we kind of get close to the end of 100 here, do you guys look for suggestions from the community to say, hey, I'd like to come on and talk about something?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Or do you want to start reaching out,
Oh, yeah. I mean, if people want to talk about something, let us know. We'd love to have, the more guests on here is great because everyone has a slightly different perspective on things. So even if we talk about a topic that we've discussed before, that's cool, right? Because someone else is going to have a different view. Maybe they did something slightly different that will help someone. Yeah, I mean, we've got a list of people that we want to interview that we're still kind of working out schedules with, but we'd love to have more.
All right, so if you're listening and you have an idea, contact them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right.
Okay.
So, is it happy hour?
Yeah. It's happy hour. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you.